Here's the lineman's belt that I've used for a little over 2 years now. I figured it's been more than long enough that I should make a video on it. The components are a rope, 2 carabiners, and a mechanical ascender. The rope is Petzl Vector 8mm rescue cord. I bought mine from treestuff.com by the foot, but it looks like now OMB Warehouse is the place to order it, and they have it at $1 per foot, and I used 8 feet to start with. It's a low stretch rope with a nylon core and a 32 carrier polyester sheath, which is very abrasion resistant. And all the time that I've used this belt, it still shows hardly any signs of wear. It also holds up extremely well to the ascender. I know of some guys who've had their softer ropes start to get fuzzy with an ascender, but this one works great. It's also the same rope that I used to attach my carabiner to my saddle hunting tether. The rope has an 18 kilonewton minimum brake strength, which is 4,047 pounds. You don't need this first carabiner if you want to permanently tie it into your harness or saddle, but this just allows you to take it off and put it away once you're all set up. I went with a screw gate carabiner made from black diamond. It's called the Positron screw gate carabiner. It's rated for 25 kilonewtons or 5,600 pounds and weighs 56 grams, which is 2 ounces. Cost about $11. The screw gate design prevents the gate from being opened up when the locking ring is screwed shut. This makes it less likely to open accidentally, which is good for this side of the belt, which I basically just attach to my harness and then ignore. I do want to say here that climbing carabiners are very easy to find, and personally I feel comfortable using them for this application, but if you look at the short paraphrase from ANSI Z133 Safety Standards for Arboriculture, they state to use carabiners which are self-closing and self-double locking. So keep that in mind. If you want to try and follow arboriculture standards rather than climbing, those are the types of carabiners you'll want to go with. To tie to the carabiner, I used an overhand loop knot. I also left a long tag end and tied a stopper on top of the main line, just to further decrease the likelihood of the knot coming undone. I've read some references where the overhand reduces the overall brake strength to 60 to 65% of the rope's original value. All knots will significantly decrease the rated brake strength of a rope. The figure 8 knot reduces the strength to roughly 75 to 80% of the original value. Splicing would be preferred, but I've never tried it with this rope. The Arrow Hunter's lineman belt just uses a figure 8 on a bite, so that would be my recommendation. It's just a little different from how I originally made mine. On the other end, I tied a double overhand stopper knot, leaving plenty of tag end. Now, the star of the show really is this mechanical ascender. I have the Wild Country Ropeman 2. It fits rope from 8 to 13 millimeters and uses a cam to only allow rope to freely pass in one direction. Trying to move the rope in the other direction just increases the tension of the cam. If you want to move it in the opposite way, you need to open up the cam to free its hold on the rope. There are a series of small teeth on the stainless steel cam that dig into the sheath of the rope. This is why that 32 carrier polyester sheath really helps out and prevents the rope from fraying with use. This ascender costs around $50, but is well worth it in my opinion, and you'll see why in just a second. It's easy to put it on the rope, and I've paired it with a Black Diamond's Neutrino wire gate carabiner, around $7 and 24 kilonewton strength. Again, if you're following the arboriculture standards, you'll want to stick with a self-double locking style carabiner, though I like the wire gate personally because it's easy to handle even with gloves in the dark, and the gate is lightweight enough that it's less likely to open up during a short fall than a solid gate non-locking carabiner would be. For strictly climbing up and down the tree, in 2 years I haven't come across a scenario where it seemed likely to be opened up accidentally, though that risk does exist if you're using a non-locking carabiner. As I'm walking into the woods, headed toward the tree that I'm going to climb, I usually just have my lineman's belt draped over my shoulders like this and clip back into the harness, whether or not I'm using a traditional hang-on stand or a saddle. And then once I got that first stick on, I'm ready to start really climbing. I can take that lineman's belt, throw it around the tree and hook it back into the harness. And now this is where having that mechanical ascender is really going to give you a big advantage, because with one hand I can shorten up that lineman's belt, or just by kind of slowly easing off on the tension, opening up that mechanical ascender and leaning back. As soon as I let go it stops. I can increase the length of that lineman's belt. And so it allows me to keep 3 points of contact with one hand, 1 foot, and the other foot for stability while still adjusting that lineman's belt. And overall I think it makes it a lot safer and makes it obviously a lot easier and quicker to use. Now once I get up into my stand, then I can either do one of two things. I can either adjust the length of that lineman's belt, so I can once again drape it over my shoulder, attach it to my harness, and I can take this little tag end and just kind of stick it in a pocket or something to keep it out of the way. Or, since I have this additional carabiner on here, I can just take it off entirely and put it in my pack and take it back out once I'm ready to climb back down the tree. I want to quickly touch on something safety related regarding a lineman's belt. Basically, you want to try and keep this thing as much as possible at waist level or slightly higher, because it's going to reduce the amount of distance that you would fall if you were to slip off a climbing stick while you're going up the tree. And here's a trap that you can kind of fall into. If you have the lineman's belt fairly tight, it makes it hard to climb up to your next stick. So you got your body in a good position, you can easily hang your next stick, and then you go to climb. It becomes hard to make the next step up because this lineman's belt wants to bite into the bark, kind of holds you down. So what a lot of guys will do is they got the lineman's belt here, they hang on their next stick, and then they put in a bunch of slack in that lineman's belt, and then they climb up unimpeded to the next climbing stick. But what happens is that slack allows the lineman's belt to hang down at your knee level or maybe even lower. And a lineman's belt isn't really designed to be used as a fall arrest device. It's really there to help you kind of prevent you from falling in the first place by allowing you to have great balance and two free hands while keeping your feet on a nice stable platform. So if you were to have this lineman's belt at roughly waist level and then you were to slip off your climbing stick, the lineman's belt will stop me. It might slip a little bit, but eventually you're going to stop. It's going to bite into that bark and you're probably going to smash in your climbing stick. It's not going to be very comfortable. You probably hurt yourself, but you're not going to fall 20 feet. Whereas if you were to have a lot more slack in this lineman's belt, okay, now you got this lineman's belt hanging way down here. If you were to slip off your stick now, you're not going to have any tension in that lineman's belt by the time you get past this stick, and you're a lot more likely to gash or rib or something really nasty as you come past this climbing stick. And yeah, you might eventually still get caught by that lineman's belt. You're not going to fall, 15-20 feet or however high up you might be on that tree, but it's still going to be a lot more stressful in the system. It's going to be a lot higher shock load on the rope, a lot higher shock load on the harness, on the carabiners, on the mechanical ascender. So really, as much as possible, even if it makes life a little bit difficult, you got to try and keep that lineman's belt roughly at waist level or even a little bit higher. Well, I hope this video is somewhat helpful and informative. One thing's for sure, once you go to a lineman's belt that has one of these mechanical ascender devices on it, you'll never want to go back to anything else. I have a list of all the equipment with links down in the description below. Please leave any questions that you might have in the comments, and thanks for watching.